One of these cards is not like the others. Hello everyone, I'm Jesus, and welcome to the next episode of the Road to Old School MTG. As this card shows, this is the last card that I needed, which would have been a Mox Jet to complete my Mox playset. I've been using Swamp as a proxy as I was attaining that final Mox Jet, and I had to go through a big ordeal to get it. That's been the hardest card by far to get, but I do have it here and I have a couple other cards as well, minor stuff. I'll talk about that as well, and I have other things coming, but all those are minor things. The Mox Jet is the big thing today. Very excited because that's the last one. That's the last Mox that I need to complete my Mox playset. So this one, I'll be taking this card out and putting a real Mox in here. Together with the Ancestral Recall and Time Walk, this would complete all the Power 9 cards that I am looking to get right now. So that would be 7 out of 9. The two remaining, the Black Lotus and the Time Twister. The Time Twister I don't want because I don't foresee myself using it. In not only this deck, my Armageddon deck, but in the other kinds of builds that I'm looking to do, it either doesn't fit or it's just not worth the money, right? Because definitely I would need at least over 1,000 to get it. And the Black Lotus is all of these are collector's editions, Power 9 cards. Black Lotus, at least it goes for 4,000, at least for a pretty good looking copy. A pretty good condition card, and that's just not what I'm willing to spend on one card right now. For that 4,000 or 5,000, I got a good chunk of the Power 9 here, right? So I had to weigh that out. So the Black Lotus, I do want, of course. Who doesn't? But that's into the future, for way into the future. Today, I'm excited to open up the last of the Moxes, and I'll explain a bit of the kind of like the ordeals that I had to go through, show the listing for this, or at least the information for it, show these, and then also show what cards I still have coming in, and the reasoning for those cards, why I bought those cards, and so on, right? So just to give you guys the full scope of what I'm doing here. So first, let me just open up, if I can find the information on the Mox Jet. I guess we'll start with that one. Let's see if I can have that. Okay. Since I bought several things, a lot of stuff is popping up. And I can't show the original listing. The Mox Jet I bought through TCG Player. Once you buy the card, the listing disappears. Unless they have more copies of that card, right? So then the listing is still online because there are more cards available, right? So it's not all of them have been sold, but that one, the seller just had one copy of that Mox Jet, and I've purchased it, of course. So I'm just going through my emails from TCG Player because I bought several things. Here it is, and like I said, I can't just go back to the list. I have to go through my email history to find that thing out. Okay, so let me share this. So here it is, the from Crypto Ninjas. I bought it for $809.99, Mox Jet. It just gives you the title of the listing, collector's edition Mox Jet. Lightly played, right? So that's the condition. It actually, the description was marked as basically near mint. But I think it was clipped. I think if I recall correctly. So that, of course, that drops it a notch. You can't possibly be near mint if it's clipped, right? So technically, I think that qualifies as damage right now. But condition-wise, they wrote it as lightly played, right? But they included pictures of it. I just, with the listing on, I can't show that. But the original price that I paid, $109.99 with the tax over here. So then you guys see the full amount was a bit over $860 for after everything is paid for. So that's the Mox Jet, listed as lightly played, but I remember the listing. It was very nice, basically near mint, but clipped. For the pricing, lightly played, that was still pretty good, even with the clipping. So I'm gonna start with that, and then I'm also gonna show you guys at least the listing of the other things I bought, and then I'll open up these other two packages. And these are not single cards. I've been buying play sets of cards, just to might as well have a collection. Who knows? Some of these cards are good for sideboard or good for main deck if I want, because I want to change the deck up a bit. So I figured might as well get a play set, as long as it's not so much extra money to do so. All right, first of all, Mox Jet. I felt the tip of the package. It was soft, so you can tell there's nothing there. So I'm cutting with confidence here. Here's where I feel the protection, right? So it felt like cardboard, some kind of cardboard, which now opening it up is definitely it. Very tight in a bubble mailer. Within that is cardboard. Open, they wrote open. Do they have flaps? No. Some people have put flaps on them. It's not necessary, but I definitely have liked that feature. I like this one actually because the top cardboard is smaller than the bottom one, so it actually gives me room to tuck underneath and cut, and while fully knowing I'm not cutting into the card at all. Same thing on the sides, not as much though. I kind of have to go through the bubble a little, but it's still, I can tell I'm not hitting card. Plus, it's most likely in a top loader, the standard stuff. All right, that's all I'm gonna cut because I don't need to cut anymore. Here it is. So even more bubble wrap. I appreciate that. This is over an $800 card. As much protection as I can get, I welcome. So they made a little top loader out of the bubble wrap. So very well protected. I've gotten other cards that are similarly priced with a lot less protection. So I think they did a good job here. All right, and then a little bit more, but I see it. So far looks pretty good. Feels like the old Twilight Zone episode with the patient uncovering the bandages off her face, and then little by little I can see more and more of the surface appearing. I like making old references like this. It's suitable considering we're dealing with vintage stuff here, or at least quote unquote vintage. This is from the 90s. I don't know. To some people it's vintage. Definitely. All right. Almost done with the final bit of, ooh, there we go. It almost flopped out. Ooh, yeah, it looks really nice. Yep, it is clipped, but in a top loader and a penny sleeve. So let me just show you without me removing it from the top loader as it came. Those streaks are from the top loader, or at least I hope so. You see, it's clipped, right? But it's a pretty nice job. It looks like it came out. That's how it was printed. That's how solid that clipping is. So in that case, I guess I don't mind so bad. Right, so those scuffs seem like it's from the top loader, right? I won't know 100% until I remove it, but it seems like it's on the surface. And of course, that would match with the listing details, right? So it was very nice, lightly played, but I remember the details in the description was really near mint, right? Which is what interested me. Just a little more backstory on me purchasing this. I tried to purchase it on eBay. I've been looking through TCG Player as well. I went through Facebook also. I actually put up an ad posting like who has a Mox Jet available. I'm looking to buy one in decent condition, in at least played and up condition. But the pricing I got for the condition cards available was not suitable for what I want, for what I was willing to pay. Yeah, this looks really nice. So here is coming out. It came in a perfect fit sleeve, I believe. So very, very nice. Yeah, I'm just, with the experience, I'm just wary of just making sure it's a legitimate card, things like that. Okay, so it looks very clean. In fact, it looks super clean. That's why I'm like really inspecting this. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out another one of my Moxes, maybe more than one, to compare it to. Whoa, I just realized something. This is definitely, not correct. This is a fake card. Either this is a fake card or I was given a beta one by mistake, which I completely doubt. Let me show you this. So once again, I'm having another issue with this. Let's see what happens in this case. All right, looks great. Look at the back. It should say collector's edition. And it should have gold borders. This is obviously not the case. So this is a fake card or it's a beta. And I doubt this is a beta card. First of all, it wasn't listed as a beta. Let me show you the collector's edition lightly played. This is not collector's edition. So either he made a mistake or this is fake. And 99.9% this is fake. So once again, I have another issue, this time on TCG Player. Very disappointed. So I was going to, of course, go over the other cards that I got, but those are small potatoes compared to this. I need to address this right away. So I'll cut the video short because of this big reason, right? So the other time I got scammed for a Mox Jet also, but it was through eBay. They never sent me anything, so and they never contacted me. So then the transaction got reversed, and I got my money back. In this case, a transaction did complete. I got the card. This is obviously not a collector's edition card. right? And I sure as hell did not get a beta Mox Jet for $800. Right, this thing should be like 10,000, right, or something like that. Definitely at least over 5,000. In this condition, forget it now. This is so. Unfortunately, this is second attempt. So this serves as a warning. So I will now see about how TCG player handles something like this. This is blatant counterfeit card, and now eBay was perfectly fine. I got my money back. Let's see what happens through TCG player. But extremely, extremely disappointed. I thought this was going to complete my Mox playset. It did not. It just gave me a whole bunch of issues that I got to resolve all over again for the same card, right? So, and through a reputable source. I'm hopeful that since it's a reputable source, I will be made whole, and this will be resolved in my favor. I read through, just in this case, right? Because on my prior scam on eBay, I read through the TCG player rules regarding this sort of situation. Right, I of course I always reach back to the seller. Hey, there's a problem here. The seller complains, right, or disputes it. Then TCG player company gets involved, and then I send them the card, and then they go in my favor or their favor, whatever, right? So they act as the judge in that case. But this seems like it's going to be a drawn out case, because first I got to contact, then I got to, of course, they're probably going to deny it. It's not going to be, okay, send me back that card, that counterfeit card, right? I'm sure they're going to be like, no, I send you a real one. You're sending me back a counterfeit, right? This is what I'm assuming will happen. Maybe not. Maybe this seller honestly sold me something they thought was real, and they were just ignorant of the details of a collector's edition card. For full transparency, for full understanding of the situation, this is a collector's edition card. So the edges are squared, but a lot of people have clipped them, so that's normal. Gold borders at the back, and it says collector's edition under Magic the Gathering logo. To compare, so right, the front looks, this is the look of a normal looking Magic card. You can't compare, you can't confuse this for that. It looks totally different. And I'm not even talking about the corners. So remember I said this one, like, it looked like the corners was super nice. This was made like this. It was made with those corners already. Nobody cut the corners. It was made to be a counterfeit from the very beginning. And this, it does not have and it's not even a good counterfeit. At least if you wanted to pass it as a collector's edition, if you wanted to pass it as a collector's edition counterfeit, you would go the extra step of making the back gold bordered and adding the collector's edition text, right? Which other counterfeits do have, right? Or so I've read, right? And there's counterfeits, a very expensive card, basically. So it's a blatant counterfeit, and it's obviously not what I paid for in terms of like honest mistake. This guy seriously have to be very ignorant. You can't sell cards in this price range if you don't know the first thing about what it is that you're selling. So it's 99 is most likely a scam, right? It's not I doubt it's an honest mistake. And if it is, that's a huge honest mistake, and this person should not be dealing with selling. They have their own store on TCG Player. They have low rating though. They were only had like 2 positive reviews. All right, so they were starting, but I checked them up. They had like 30 or so cards, a couple more collector's edition, but mostly $10, $20, $30 stuff, the normal stuff that you see. All right, so it seemed legit. Just somebody's starting up, but this is obviously counterfeit. It's not even disguised well. Right, and then like I said, it just looks like it was printed yesterday. All right, so unfortunately, this is bad news, right? Which throws me off getting through with this. Just either way, I had some more cards coming in. I guess I'll wait for that. Plus, but my mind right now is on getting this, starting the process on returning this, getting my money back, and once again now searching for another Mox Jet. This will be my third one that I'm getting before I finally get a real one. So I'll once I start the process on the next video, once I got more cards and I have this process started, I'll offer you guys in on this development. Okay, but right now I'm very bummed that I have to deal with all this all over again. But I knew what I was getting into. I knew this was something that happens. I'm just sad it's happened already twice over the same card. But it is what it is. At least it didn't happen on Facebook, right? That one, like, there's no recourse. This was through TCG Player. At least there's a possibility of me getting my money back. I think a decent possibility. I think on eBay, it was more certain that I would, especially they never even sent me anything, so there's nothing to dispute. This one, they sent me something. Now I got to actually dispute, like, hey, you sent me something, but it's fake. And they say, no, we sent you a real one. You're just saying you got a fake one, right? So something tells me that's what's going to be, that's how this discussion is going to go. I doubt they're going to say, hey, here, can you take this back? Okay, here's your $800 back. I hope that happens. We'll see. I'll let you guys know. But pretty bummed right now. And then as I start the process, I'll see what else can be done regarding this. All right. Thank you. Hello, everyone. This is a quick follow-up video to my previous video. We'll most likely put both of these videos together, edit them together. I'm happy to report a quick and positive resolution to my issue with this counterfeit Mox Jet that I just previously opened like an hour ago. So I emailed the seller right away, informed them that this is a counterfeit card, and educated the seller on how I knew it was a counterfeit card. Collector's edition cards have gold borders in the back, plus it says collector's edition in between the Magic logo and the 5 circles. This one, doesn't have those details, right? Even though on the front looks perfectly fine, on the back is where you can tell. And honestly, as I was opening up the package, it just didn't occur to me that this was a counterfeit for that reason, right? Like, I looked at the back and it just didn't occur. Like, my mind was just not there where, oh, hey, this is black border, right? I just saw a normal Magic card back and I thought, okay. After having it in my hand for like a couple of minutes, and I was showing you here, is where I was showing the front, is where I looked at the back and like, wait, I put 2 and 2 together and like, wait, it's supposed to have gold borders. So then, right, so it took a little bit of time for it to hit home. But when it did, I contacted the seller, and this is what the seller told me on the message. Well, first they apologized. They said that the seller got this card plus many others from an estate sale, and the person they bought the cards from, he seemed to be a big Magic fan. He had a lot of cards, a lot of merchandise, stuff like that. So he thought it was a legit card. And he apologized and immediately gave me a full refund, which I got an email from TCG Player stating I'm getting that refund. So of course I'm happy with that, and I suppose I accept the apology, although I'm not sure, honestly, because just thinking, the more I think about that story, just the story doesn't make sense. So the seller said he doesn't really know much about Magic, and it was an honest mistake. He didn't know. That's why he immediately gave me a full refund. First of all, if you were a seller and you sold something and you know it was real, right? Because you knew, you wouldn't right away offer a refund. Like, you would dispute it, right? So the fact that there was no dispute at all, which I was fully expecting, right? That's what I said in the last video. I was fully expecting a dispute and a big drawn out situation to occur. So when that didn't happen, and I just got a full refund, like, it made me think, wait, this seems way too easy. What's up? So if you were a seller and you thought your card was real, right? Because you didn't know, you wouldn't think it wasn't, you would dispute it, right? So the fact that he just immediately gave me the money back, it's a bit of a red flag. Like, okay, maybe it's true. Like, okay, they recognize it. Oh yeah, I made a mistake, sorry. But if it was so easy for you to recognize that was a mistake, you probably wouldn't have even sold the card to begin with, right? Like, oh, I did explain, why I knew this card was fake. And maybe that lit a light bulb in the seller's head, and then they recognized it, right? But still, just, from that, it's a little fishy, but, not too much. But when I think more about it in different terms. So first of all, so the seller says he doesn't know much about Magic, and that's why this was an honest mistake. If you saw this card, black Mox Jet, black border, normal looking back, this looks like an alpha or beta Mox Jet. There's nothing here that says it's collector's edition, right? It looks like an alpha or beta. It's a counterfeit alpha beta Mox Jet, right? It's not even an unlimited counterfeit, right? Unlimited would be white border. So but it was listed as collector's edition in the listing, right? If you saw the previous video, there it is. Right, I went over it. It said CE collector's edition. So how did the seller who doesn't know anything about Magic know about collector's edition? Right? In fact, I'm going to do this right now. So we are in Google, Mox Jet Magic card, as generic as it gets, right? Because you don't know anything about Magic. Okay. 7,000 used TCG player for Mox Jet beta. There it is, right? If you got this is what yours looks like. It doesn't look like you wouldn't think it's this one because it's white border. Plus, this is more expensive. So you're like, whoa, great, I have this one, not that one. Here is the collector's edition, right? But look at this. You can already see the gold borders on the back, and you can see the squares in the back. And if you click on it, well, let me open up a new tab. Let's see if I click on that, right? Because I don't know anything. Click to enlarge, boom, very clearly. Gold borders, collector's edition. It's kind of blurred out, right? But this card does not have any of those details. That looks nothing from the back. From the front, it looks almost exactly the same, right? Other than the squares being trimmed, right? But that's not unusual. But the back is a dead giveaway, right? So that's the first page. I didn't even type anything. Let's stop sharing. I didn't even type anything about collector's edition. I just typed Mox Jet Magic card. This is generic search as you can get. So he wouldn't think it's this one. He would think it's probably this one, a beta. So let's click on it. So Mox Jet. Ooh, this looks like the one I got. It has rounded corners, black bordered. Dan Fraser at the bottom, right? Looks just like it. This one, it has a stock image, right? But I'm sure if I go down here, oh, there it is. Now I can see a real picture of it. Right, and this is all from the very first results. After I type Mox Jet Magic Core. Black border, looks like this. And there's the back. Black borders, just like this. Doesn't say anything collector's edition in between the logo and the circles. Just like this one, doesn't say anything in between the logo and circles. So, does it make sense? Why would you even confuse this for a collector's edition card? Right? It's the story doesn't make sense. So, you know, when I first got the refund, I'm like, oh, I'm happy. Of course, right? I'm not out over $800. But the more I think about it, it doesn't make sense. It still seems like it's a scam. The only thing that happened is that the seller knew I knew my stuff. He knew that I know exactly why this is a counterfeit. So he either, okay, the jig is up, whatever, right? But if somebody wasn't as educated, right? Not that I'm super educated myself either, but I know at least a bit more than the basics. Although it took me a couple of minutes to notice that, right? So take that with a grain of salt. But eventually I knew, right? This is not a collector's edition. He listed it as collector's edition. There's nothing in this search that would have made him think this card that I got is a collector's edition. He would have confused it either for a beta or an alpha Mox Jet, right? Because he sold this for $800, right? So, an unlimited, he can't confuse it for an unlimited, right? It's whiteboard, right? So you can't confuse it for this. He can only confuse this for an alpha, beta, or collector's edition. But the collector's edition is very clearly marked in the back. So he can only confuse this for an alpha or a beta, but he didn't. He confused it for a collector's edition, and he sold it as collector's edition, and he priced it as collector's edition. And he took a picture of the actual card from the front, but now that I notice, I believe he did not take a picture from the back. The listing is gone, right, because I already bought the card. But this is from my memory. I definitely remember, he didn't use a stock image. He used an image, and I know he took from the front. I believe he also took from the back, but maybe not. But I'm pretty sure he didn't take a picture of the back. He just took one picture of the front, which is common. But honestly, I probably won't be doing that again. I need to see front and back for anything that's in this price range. So just, you know, his story doesn't make sense. He put it as collector's edition. So it just the story doesn't make sense on that side. And plus, I remember in the description of his ad, it said like his collector's edition, but clipped, right? Which of course, if we quote unquote confuse this as a collector's edition, he knew collector's editions have sharp corners. So he knows enough to know that a lot of people over the years clip collector's edition cards to make them look alpha beta, right? That's why when I saw this as collector's edition, but with the corners like this, like I didn't think anything of it, right? That's normal. In fact, I got a Mox Sapphire that was clipped, but that one you can tell, right? This is not clipped. This card is 100% clean. This was created exactly the way it looks, right? This is brand new card. There's not one scratch, not one dent. It's very shiny. It's cardboard though, right? So it's honestly, when I was first feeling it, I knew something was up but I couldn't put my finger on it, but I knew something was up. When I saw the back, when I put two together and saw the color, that's when it really, that was blatantly obvious. But until then, until I figured that out, it was more like a hunch, right? But it was a strong hunch. It was mainly right here. I can see straight lines in the printing, right? It's very straight. Like I don't see that in other magic cards. So because I tilt it like this mainly to see scratches and stuff, right? Because a lot of times until the light bounces in a certain angle, you can see certain scratches. That's the reason why I tilted it like this. But when I did that, I saw these straight all across the whole card lines, horizontal lines, which I don't see in any other card. In fact, maybe I should just. So Mox Emerald, yeah. When I tilt it, it looks like a regular card. This. Like that's. I think that was the hunch that I had when I saw this, and I saw those horizontal lines. Like like the printing process is different. Like that's what that was the first thing that gave it away to me. Like the feel not. It's a little bit shinier than I thought, yeah, but not blatantly obvious shiny, right? Or like the coating, and it's still cardboard, right? So it's it was the feeling a little. I had a little bit of a sense, but not so much. It was mainly the way it was printed, right? That was what showed me, gave it away. When I looked at that, I'm like, wait, this looks weird. I haven't seen that before. Just to look at the back doesn't really have that. Well, at least it's harder to notice. No, it doesn't really have that. So maybe this is a real back and a fake front, right? So a lot of people do that. They get a real card, cut it in half, and put the fake, expensive looking front to a real back. So maybe that's what happened here. But it's very clear the front is a different printing process, right? So once again, if you thought this was collector's edition, right? Not thinking about the back, because that's that giveaway, right? Which makes no sense. Why would you think it's collector's edition, but you knew it had black borders? But whatever. Going with his story or her story. You thought this was collector's edition, but you knew enough to know that a lot of people cut the edges, right? So you knew enough to know that collector's edition have sharp corners, but then somebody cut it up, right? So that means you already know a bit. You know that much that this is collector's edition, but with clipped edges. But you don't know about the back. The story doesn't fly, unless I can't honestly. I can't even imagine such a colossal mistake. This is over $800. The seller said it's an honest mistake. I immediately got my money back. I don't know. Please comment. What do you think? Given all the information I just gave out, does that story fly? To me, it doesn't, honestly. Plus, I don't know if this is possible. The package, right, where it came from, flat rate envelope insured. I don't know if he can collect any kind of insurance of it. Like, hey, this happened. It was damaged in transit, whatever, right? So, I'm not sure if the seller from there, and I'm sure they can, right? Insurance is insurance that protects from either side, right? Or not. If somebody's familiar with that, please let me know. I have sold things through eBay. I never had to get my money back through insurance for a magic card, but I sold items, and I've had used USPS insurance service before. So let's say I sent something and it was insured, and then the person on the other end complains because it got damaged, right? That was usually the main complaint, right? Probably that was the only complaint. Like they got it, but it's damaged. So what I did is gave them a full refund, right? So they got their money back, but I'm out the item, right? No, what I did was I petitioned USPS. I think they asked for pictures. Asked for pictures of the thing, and then they refunded me as the seller the money back, right? So I don't know if a picture is always necessary. Who knows? I just know that a seller can get money as a seller from something that they sent that was insured, right? Is this person doing that? I don't know. Uh, if I get an email asking me to take a picture of the package, maybe, who knows, right? And if not, I do apologize, but then again, it's their own fault for me questioning the whole story when their story makes no sense, right? It just doesn't make any sense. Unless 100% it was such a huge error. And, to be fair, they did recognize it as a huge error and immediately gave me my money back. But that's still, something still nagging in the back of my head. How do you know enough about collector's edition to know that this is a clipped collector's edition, right? Because this doesn't have the sharp edges, but you don't know enough about collector's edition to know that it's gold border and it says collector's edition on, right? In fact, how would you even know this is collector's edition? That's the main point that I forgot to mention. I think I did. How do you even confuse this as collector's edition? This looks like an alpha or beta. If you truly don't know anything about Magic, you just search stuff, you would have confused this as an alpha or beta. How do you confuse it as a collector's edition? The only way you can confuse this as a collector's edition is if it had the sharp corners, like, oh, I got a collector's edition. It has the sharp corners. No other Magic card except for collector's edition, at least that I know of, has that. Or at least, those kind of cards would be, some kind of specialty card. So either it has the sharp corners, which this doesn't, or it has the gold back with the collector's edition, which this doesn't say anything about collector's edition. It's impossible for you to confuse this card as collector's edition. There's nothing that makes it look like collector's edition. But it was sold as collector's edition, and then it was sold as clipped collector's edition. So they knew enough that they knew that this can't pass as an alpha or beta. I mean, this can pass as alpha or beta because of the rounded edges. But if it's collector's edition, then you have to say it was clipped because it has rounded edges. So they knew enough to write this as a clipped collector's edition. But you don't know enough to know that nowhere other than nothing else says that this is collector's edition. So how do you know it was clipped? Because it doesn't even say it's collector's edition, right? So that's the main thing that lets me know this. Their apology message still doesn't make sense. I don't believe that it was a mistake. And if it was, then you shouldn't be selling cards. Or maybe nothing more than 10, 20, 30 bucks. Something like this. It's ridiculous. If you don't know, you go to a store and you sell it to them. Or they'll tell you. And then they would have told you it's fake. Right? So I'm glad to have my money back, but still, nonetheless, this still was a crappy experience. So I'm still not going to open up the other two packages. I'm just bummed out still, not as bad, not as bummed out. Honestly, when I first got the message that I got my money back, I was happy again. Ooh. And I immediately started searching for another Mox Jet because I still don't have a freaking Mox Jet. This will be my third attempt that I'm going to be making to get a Mox Jet. 2 attempts, 2 scams. Third time's a charm, hopefully. But yeah, third attempt. Hopefully that is resolved, but still, right? And now this has been 2 negative experiences through 2 different platforms, eBay and now TCG Player. So, oh, and I did wanted to mention one thing. So, on a previous video, you guys had known that I have purchased a proxy, a Black Lotus, right? This one is clearly a proxy because it has full art, alternate art on the back, right? So I wanted it for this one, right? Because I just wanted to play it as a proxy, right? Not in an official game, but just for me mock testing. Honestly, I wanted to proxy this so that way I would see if it's worth for me to spend 4, 5, 6,000 on a collector's edition Black Lotus. Like, and I didn't just want to like have a, just I wanted to look more authentic basically as I'm playing mock games. And then just me experiencing how the use of a Mox Black Lotus in my Armageddon deck, is it even worth it for me to buy? It's definitely worth for me to have bought all the other Moxes, the Ancestral Recall, the Time Walk. Those are definitely worth it. This one I'm like extremely debating because it's worth so much money for one card. So that's the reason why I wanted to have this, just for me to play test and to and who knows, maybe I would have maybe played some games with this, but I would of course very clearly have mentioned this is a proxy, and maybe I would have just played it on this side, right? Just to be blatantly obvious. So the reason I'm mentioning this card is because just to be clear, I think this is okay because it's very clearly a proxy. Plus the feel. This feels like a regular playing cards, right? With the suits, spades, right? So solitaire type of cards, right? So this is that kind of card, right? It's extremely thin. This is a counterfeit, right? And this has the feeling, right? It's very plastic. This is a counterfeit. This is trying to mislead people. This is trying to make it seem like it's an actual card, a real card. This is not trying to make it seem like it's a real card. From the feel up top, and of course to the look of the back, it's obviously a fake. So that's why I was ethically okay with me purchasing this, because it can be confused as a real card, right? Even if you were to, as has been known to happen, somebody takes up the top, which looks real, and they put it in the back of a real card, then pass it out, right? So even then, like this, the feel of the top, it's obviously it's a fake. It feels totally fake on both sides. So even if they did that, but honestly, if they went through all that, most likely, and I've read this, a lot of people, what they do is they buy a real collector's edition Mox Black Lotus, right, or whatever high-end collector's edition card, and they put it in back of a real, in front of a real card back, right? So they get a real card, keep a real card with the back in good condition. They scrape off the front, and they scrape out the back of the fake one, and they glue them together, right? So I'm not sure how that process truly works, but I've read that that's been known to happen, right? So this is not okay. So what I'll eventually do is I'm going to cut it. So either I cut it, because honestly I'm very tempted to cut it, because obviously I don't want this to circulate anywhere. But I also, and I was fully thinking about that, but I'm thinking maybe I hold back, mainly because I think it'd be cool to have a fake card for me to compare against, right? This one doesn't really count, right? Because it's obviously this was not trying to pass off as a counterfeit. This is obvious, right? So, and I would have never bought a card that's trying to be a counterfeit on purpose, right? So considering I have one, I'm tempted to keep it, mainly for that reason, that if I ever think something is fake, it looks real, it feels very real, right? But now I have something to compare it to, right? So either I cut it or I save it, but then I keep it for myself only as for reference, right? Against any future counterfeit cards that may run into, right? That are, you know, related to alpha, beta, or more collector's edition, quote unquote, with clipped edges, right? Or whatever, right? Or just, you know, counterfeit in general. Because this is a very, 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 very nice looking counterfeit. So I was just comparing it to this card here. This is a real card. But this is a super old swamp, right? So, but I do know, for my research, right? Because I'm still researching, I do know that's one of the giveaways. It has a lot of the counterfeits have a brighter back. But you know, if not for that, it's, you know, looks very close. Let's see, may I get a different card? No, even this one. I took a City of Brass. This was near mint. But I looked at the back, it also looks looks very dark also. So maybe that's another giveaway that I can look out, right? Which is once again showing me the benefit of having a counterfeit card, right? So I think that's what I'll do, right? My first reaction was for me to cut it live on a video and maybe even use that as my thumbnail image for the video. But I'm thinking I'm probably going to just keep it because I want to have something to compare to, because this is a very, very legit looking counterfeit. And I would never buy one on purpose. So I don't want to have one just to compare. Maybe I should, but now I do, right? And I didn't have to pay any money for it. I just had to have a heart attack. But I think that's what I would probably do. I'll just keep it for my own personal use and for my own reference, right? So just to have that reference that I could always go back to if I am ever in doubt about a card. All right, so well, that was the update. So at least on the same day, within an hour or less, the situation was resolved, right? But nonetheless, I spelled out all the doubts I still have with the story the sellers gave me. But in the end, whatever. I got my money back. I'm not returning this. If he asks me to return, I'm gonna tell him okay, but kind of return a cut. He didn't even ask for it back, right? So, which I was willing to do, because like I said, I thought I was gonna have this disputed. I was gonna send this over to TCU Player, and they would have obviously known it was fake. And actually, I do want to thank this project that I'm doing, because immediately after the video, the first video of me opening this up, and then I shut off the video prematurely, right? Because I was going to open up more packages, but I got so freaked out. Like, I'm like, okay, and I need to contact the seller right away. But before I did that, I'm like, actually, I need to watch the video that I just recorded, the first one, to double check to make sure that I had the package in frame, in the camera frame, and I was opening all of it up in frame, so that way, because I was fully expecting a dispute, I went back and I looked at the video, and sure enough, the whole time I had this up in view as I opened it up, as I took it out, and even as I revealed the card. When I took it out, it showed the black border, right? By that point, I still hadn't known. It took me a couple minutes of me looking at it to really know, right? But as I took it out, even within the bubble wrapper, you could already tell it had black borders, right? So I had conclusive proof if it had gone to that step of a dispute. I had conclusive proof that what I opened was a counterfeit card. So I'm thankful that I had this. If I had not been doing this channel and not have been documenting every step of the way, all the things that I'm doing, I would have not have that proof. So I am thankful for this project, in this case, I didn't need it. But who knows, right? Because I do intend to buy more high-end stuff. Like I said, I'm seriously considering a Black Lotus collector's edition. But I'm looking at other stuff too. I'm looking at some more dual lands, and the main card I'm looking for is Library of Alexandria. Right, that's one of those staple cards. Like it can go in basically any deck. And I've seen Armageddon decks with Library of Alexandria. Right, so that's and that one has no collector's edition equivalent. I have to have a real one, right? Unless I buy a proxy, which I'm not going to. The Black Lotus is the only one I'm willing to buy a proxy of, because that's so over the top expensive. But other than that, I'm buying a legal reprint, right? But Alexandria has no legal reprints. It's only in one set, at least from what I see. So I'm looking around. I'm looking for my next thing. It's good to have something like this handy to continue to compare. Have something to compare cards that I do get, right? So, and so this will be going in here until I have a real Mox Jet. I figure I might as well just play this in my current Armageddon deck. But not play it. I still haven't played any games until I get that final Mox Jet. I don't want to play any games yet. I'm still researching, like I said, right? So I'm fine not playing any games because my main focus is the collecting and the building of the deck. So I'm still one card away, still one Mox Jet away, but at least now when I play with a proxy, I don't have to use this. I can use this, right? So just a little bit more real until I get the real one, and then this will just go part of my collection. But of course, not a real card, just as for reference. All right, so that's the future of this card. Right? Unless maybe I get convinced otherwise. Right? I wouldn't care too much if I cut it. So maybe you guys can comment on that. Should I keep it, or just cut it, or cut it and keep it? I could still tell even if it's cut in half, right? So that was also another thing I was thinking about. I could cut it so that way there's no dispute. Nobody will ever have it. But I could also and I could still have, I could still feel it, put it together, But, I think having it intact is, I can see more clearly, right? It's easier to compare. So, but let's see if there's any comments. I'll read them. All right. So I just wanted to give this quick update. Well, maybe not so quick, but an update nonetheless. I'm going to put these two videos together. I'm still on the lookout for a real Mox Jet. So the things to look out for. So the seller that I had, it was a new seller. He only had like 2-3 sales. And same thing with my first scan. The seller had no sales on eBay, right? But everybody starts somewhere, right? So if it was, let's say, through Facebook and the seller had no references, I definitely wouldn't do that, right? But I knew there were protections in both TCG Player and eBay, buyer protections, right? So that allowed me to give me the confidence to take a bit more of a risk, right? And at least on both these cases, I got my money back. But still, it's still annoying. It's still, gives me anxiety to, to have to even experience this, right? So, but to be fair, the seller apologized multiple times for this mistake, right? I'm still have my doubts whether it was a mistake or not. But I guess I'll take the apology and I'll take my money back and use that towards hopefully still in my near future a real Mox Jet so I can complete this Armageddon deck. All right, so that's the end of this second half of the video. Thank you for watching.